Hello, everyone. So, let's start the session. Thank you all for being here. And before we start the session, I want to begin it with a quick scenario, one that reveals more what one of us may realize. Well, a father and a son were involved in a terrible car crash. The father unfortunately died on the spot, and the son was rushed to the hospital for an emergency surgery. As he was wheeled into the operating room, the surgeons looked at him and he says, I can't operate this boy. He's my son. Well, how is that possible? The answer is pretty simple. The surgeon is his mother. And if this answer did come to you instantly, don't you worry, you are not alone. A study conducted at Boston University found that only 8% of students got this answer right on the first go. So, why many of us stumble? Well, because our minds have been trained, consciously or subconsciously, to associate certain roles and titles to a specific gender, like surgeons, scientists, decision makers, and breakthrough innovators. And these are not just stereotypes, these are mental models that are silently shaping how we think and how we imagine the position of power. These mental models impact not only how society sees women, but also how women sees themselves. Well, but here's the good news. These mental models can be unlearned, these narratives can be rewritten, and that's why we all are here today. Well, before we begin, I will like to have a quick word about the platform that bring all of us together, Open Innovator. Open Innovator is powered by the spirit of open innovation. This is more than just a platform. It's a thriving community of technocrats, industry leaders, startups, academia, all coming together to shape what's next. From deep dive session to real world problem solving solutions, Open Innovator is where these bold ideas turn into action. And that's what our today's session, Women in Technology, is. It's a movement to question, it's a movement to reimagine and to rebuild the narrative. So let's take a change. Let's pause, reflect, and ask what the true inclusion looks like. And I'm so excited to introduce you to today's power packed global panelist of women who are here to, reshape this tech revolution. These are the women who are leading it. Each one of them brings a unique perspective on inclusion, leadership, and the power of women shaping tomorrow's future. So I'd like to welcome Neo. She is the tech founder of Botanics AI. Ashley, head of talent at Women in AI. Ella, enterprise architects at Siemens Mobility. And Mercedes, the head of global data and AI at Siemens Healthineers. Thank you all for being here together, and a huge of a round of applause for all our panelists. But that's not all today. I am delighted to introduce our co-host and the moderator for today's session, Begonia. She is the founder of For Women Career in Tech. She is a leadership coach, advocate for equality, and someone who has been there at the forefront of shaping career pathways for women in tech. Thank you, Begonia, for being here. And so I would like to uh, give Begonia to take over the mic and lead this conversation. And so let's begin. Let's change these models, change the narrative, and hear directly from the women shaping the future of technology. Over to you, Begonia.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this kind introduction and for the invitation to be part of this. I mean, we are all here together because we want to deep dive with great experts about what does it mean leadership today when we place inclusion, innovation, and collaboration at its core. And we all here, we all have our leaders. We are women and men taking decisions every day that have an influence and an impact on everything what we do and everything what is in our environment. So each of us and each of you, the experts today in the round that we are going to start speaking with and discussing the topic, you are all leading change at the intersection of tech and inclusion. So let's begin with this. And the first question is, what does meaningful innovation look like to you? And how does inclusion shape it? And this is the question for every one of our four wonderful experts. And I will say, Neo, do you want to start with your view of this short question, but with a lot of insight?
Yes. Hi, everyone. So I'm Neil, and for me, I think what I would say meaningful innovation is when businesses, manufacturing industries, and also products are made according with sustainability, inclusion, and I would say technically advanced as well. But most importantly, have the human aspect in mind. So always have a human centered around making the products that are made for the community. Why I'd say that? I'd say a few years ago when I was thinking of creating a product for textured hair, I couldn't, whilst I was creating that product, I was thinking to myself, I wish there was something, a system which would make this easier and faster to create, and that is more inclusive as well. I realized there was a bit of a gap because I couldn't find a system that worked in that way. And that's how I came up with creating a AI tool, which met that gap. So for me, create meaningful innovation, it's not about just creating products or better products. It's about who are they for and what for. That's what I would say.
Thank you for this deep reflection on that. I would like to go to another perspective and ask Ashley to complete your perspective.
I agree with what Neo said. I think meaningful innovation, especially at the intersection of tech and inclusion, is about creating solutions that serve diverse communities from the start. So not just about new technologies, but just ensuring that, as Neo said, they address real world problems for underrepresented groups. For me, inclusion means embedding diverse perspectives in the development process. I think a lot of the time we see, how innovation perpetuates biases and inequalities. So I think that when inclusion is prioritized, innovation can and it should empower and benefit everyone.
Yeah, very important thing. And I think I'm just thinking about, and maybe you know all this book of the Invisible Women, where you can see so many different examples on how not being inclusive, developing innovation can really have a very big impact, because we are speaking about just excluding women, and we are actually more little about of the half of the population. So a very important topic. Thank you, Ashley, for your thought. Ella, coming as well from the innovation part in a different segment. What does it mean for you?
I just wanted to reflect a little bit on Ashley's point of view. I recently read that about underrepresented groups. I recently read an article that said that even the safety belts, safety seat belts in cars, still not 100% safe for women, and they guarantee no safety for pregnant women. So basically, when the pregnant woman sits in the car and drives it, she takes extreme amount of risk to go somewhere. So even in these small parts, it's not the total innovation, but there is still a gap for people, for us, even in safety. So that's why, for me, if I would say it with one word, I would say it's humanity. So empathy in motion, and where inclusion reaches everyone. So it shouldn't be the top-notch technology, shouldn't be the top-notch innovation. The main thing is that it solves the real problem, it helps people, and it improves the way of living. So this is the most important for me, I would say.
Yeah, very important perspective, right? Is the purpose of the innovation itself.
Yeah.
Serving the different target groups and be meaningful, not only for one person or for one group, but for all of us.
Yeah.
We are building the future, and I would like to ask Mercedes. So, what does meaningful innovation look like to you?
I think this is almost the most important thing said. I think the innovation is just to solve real world problems, and the world is big and it's diverse. And there is a lot of use cases that need to be taken into consideration. So innovation is to build not something new, but just what we really need, what can be globally used, not only regionally, but in different types of population, globally usable, and always with a perspective of being ethical, responsible, and sustainable too. And we can ensure this when we design phase and implementation phase, we put different mindsets. And is even not only representing their own experience and mindsets and view, is anyone, any individual to go beyond their own lens. And it was said before, to create this empathy for bringing the borders a bit further, a bit wider, and create a solution that can be really used globally with higher satisfaction. And sometimes it's very fancy, and sometimes it's not so fancy, but it's solving a real world problem with a very, very easy way of doing it without complexity.
Wonderful view. Thank you, Mercedes, for this very different, and at the same time we are all agreeing on how innovation should always be inclusive and have this kind of diversity perspective on the way we develop a new solution, because we are now living in a really changing environment. Technology is disrupting everything we knew or we thought we know, and opening as well amazing doors for a new future, for a new world for everyone. And I would like to go now to Ashley and ask yourself, because I mean, this is amazing. You've spent over a decade shaping talent in tech. And now through Women in AI, which is a meaningful initiative and movement, you are empowering the next generation of AI leaders. So in your view, what does building truly inclusive AI talent pipelines look like? And what are we still getting wrong? So let's go to these two perspectives.
So I think, so what we're still getting wrong is, I would say, is the lack of systemic support. A lot of the time we're focusing on increasing diversity in the workforce without considering the broader ecosystem. So whether that's like a lack of access to resources or biases in the recruitment or exclusionary cultures in tech environments, I think for true systemic change, we need to redesign recruitment, retention, career progression. All of these processes need to be redesigned while building a culture of continuous learning and mentorship. And this is something that we do focus on women in AI. So we now are a global community. We have over 16,000 members. And we focus quite heavily on the mentorship and just being a safe space for women to learn from others. But I think all of this requires not just diversity targets, which I'm seeing quite a lot of nowadays. I think it's what we need is a commitment to long-term support and recognition and a structural change across the entire ecosystem. Another thing that stands out is we focus a little too much on the technical skills alone, without considering the need for soft skills and inclusive leadership that are also essential for the future, especially with AI. And your question about the pipeline, I think it has to be more than just about attracting talent. It has to be, as I said, creating these environments where everybody feels like they belong, everybody feels like they can contribute to shaping the future. Yeah, and I think that's how we'll build a pipeline that's both inclusive and sustainable.
Yeah, this is a very important point. We discussed that as well a lot the last time, especially also kicking with this question we have in the chat, that how can we continue to lead effectively with all those changes coming so rapidly, and at the same time also thinking about what does it mean to be a woman in technology today. We are really having great discussions on how to democratize the term of women in technology. There is not only about having a tech background, like being an engineer or an IT specialist or really an expert. It's also coming from the business part and really unlocking the power of the new technologies like AI, which is also open for non-tech backgrounds, right? And this is also a quite interesting point we can keep on discussing, Esley, also with your experience on the women in AI, and for sure with the rest of the experts. But just moving forward in order to really bring all these scenarios at the table. And please, for everyone being with us, share your thoughts with us in the chat. Maybe you have experiences, maybe you have questions. Be interactive. We have here 3 people from Open Innovation following the chat, and we will take a look at that and try to get all those thoughts in the discussion later, because we will end with a Q&A time together. So go ahead in the chat and allow me now to go to Mercedes, because here is amazing. I'm really very happy to see all those women with these different backgrounds. And for you, Mercedes, I'm reflecting. The same thing that we reflect about women in technology and the meaning of women in technology, I would like to reflect with you about the meaning of diversity. Because many companies claim to support diversity by focusing on factors like gender, origin, or cultural background. Those are kind of visual backgrounds. But fewer companies understand that individual mindset is also an integral part of diversity. This is really something that I'm speaking a lot, because even if you have a group of people being all engineers or being all men, they don't think specifically in the same way. And this is just as important, because each of us is unique, and this uniqueness holds immense value. So for me, it's a question for you: what does it mean, diversity, for you?
Yeah, I'm with you. For me, diversity goes beyond gender or background. Nowadays, especially where gender is even not polarized, and it's about more diversity. Is about the richness of mindset, experience, and thought. All these 3 components: mindset, experience, and thought, which is probably shaped by all of the other factors: the gender, the background, the origin, the cultural background too. It's a shape too, but at the end, any of us are unique, being shaped by all these factors. We are unique in our mindset, in our experiences, in our way of thinking, and especially in the area of AI, where standardization can easily take over for a lot of things like automating tasks and evaluating information. I think this human uniqueness perspective becomes even more valuable, more than ever. And we need to be aware of that and empower that. So, as you say, each person brings a different lens to the table, shaped by their journey, values, and way of thinking. So inclusion for me means creating space for those unique voices to be heard, not just with our ears, but with our openness of mind and of heart. Yeah. So true diversity is not about counting people; it's making people count to anything we are doing. And especially in my role, for example, diversity is also data governance issue. How do we ensure that the systems we are using reflect the world they are supposed to serve? Yeah. So true diversity means even designing policies, data models, and technologies that are multi-faceted as humanity itself. And I'm supporting Ashley to say it must be more systematic. Yeah, that's just expecting that it's happening by chance. We need to be much more systematic in here.
Definitely. And I think being the head of global data and AI, you have a very clear understanding that you bring into life every day at your work, right? Not only because of the team you are leading is very diverse, because of the topics you are responsible for are really very diverse and sensitive on that perspective and meaning or understanding of diversity. Neo, now we turn into a completely different perspective because we go from a corporate background from Mercedes into your entrepreneurial journey. And I love that as well because you started in your kitchen and you are now running a full-fledged factory. So this is an amazing journey, and congratulate you for your success so far. And I think reflecting on your experience, what is this one challenge in scaling a purpose-driven brand that no one talks about, but every founder should be ready for?
Okay. With Uhuru Botanicals, we did start from our kitchen, and the reason why I started because my child was struggling with dry skin, and I couldn't find anything that worked. We started small with not much really, and then in the last few years we moved into our own factory, and now we are, producing more products for diverse communities. So I think the biggest challenge that I've come across, scaling from that small to where we are now, is the fact that you can easily lose your core values as a business, because I think the main things that I was focused on when we started is to be sustainable, to ensure that the products are ethically made, and also to be inclusive. That was the major thing, producing inclusive diverse products in the market. But moving into a bigger scale manufacturing in factory, sometimes I'm looking at how can I cut down costs? How is it that I can create products faster? What ingredients can sometimes you get to a point where you want to compromise the type of ingredients that you are using because of the need for you to scale and make more products. It also, I think, was a big thing when it came to creating Botanics AI, is that initially it was set out to cater for DIY creators and cosmetic formulators using natural ingredients and promoting sustainable ingredients and ingredients that make an impact. But then I also had to look at, actually, we've got cosmetic scientists who are using synthetic ingredients. Should I now add that in because they're now catered to a wider market? So I'm having those, challenges where I have to go back to what are our core values. Our core values is to produce ethically made products, sustainable and inclusive. So I think that's been the major challenge, to always go back to those values, because and I think also building with systems and partnerships in mind that allow me to scale without losing the soul of the brand and our values. So that has been the biggest challenge that I've had to face. I'm still facing.
It's amazing. So that for sure, I would like to know how do you deal with those challenges, because I understand the issue. You're responsible for a very sensitive product, and it doesn't matter which kind of product. If you want to build sustainable products, is how do you keep your claim alive And how do you do that in a reasonable way? Because at the end of the day, you need to have a P&L that makes sense and a price for the consumer that they can afford, I guess.
It's through education, having to constantly educate them through our social media pages. When I've got cosmetic scientists who are like, why you're not catering for synthetic ingredients and so on, I'm having to remind them that this is the reasons why. So the why has been the big thing, always explaining the why. And then people are willing to spend because I'm explaining why we're doing it. So that's how I've been managing to break through those barriers. It's not easy, but I think when we are set with our core values and not forgetting, it's easier then to communicate that in information across as well.
Thank you so much for these impulse that links me and guides me to Ella. And I think we may find some of your input in your answers, Ella. I don't know, because speaking about the why and taking a look at your career is such an amazing journey, because you started in cancer prediction, working with cancer prediction models. And you went to digital rail transformation. So your career is a masterclass in applying tech where it truly matters. This is maybe the common red line in between, right? So I would like to know more about your motivation and what has guided your decisions as you shifted across industries, and how do you stay anchored to your purpose?
Yeah, thank you. So when I was listening to Neo, I was thinking that one word from me would be contribution. Every time the new challenge appeared, also a lot of opportunities arise to solve this challenge, to go with it. And I was always trying to choose with my heart, with my gut, so the opportunity where I can contribute the most. For example, with the cancer topic, I was at the big symposium in Austria, and I met their fantastic people. And for me, the biggest shock was that so women in some countries have no representation in the research. So for me, it was the opportunity to contribute more to research the data for the women who were never in the research. So some underrepresented communities that actually didn't have a chance even on paper to be researched. So that was the opportunity. And then every time I was working on it and researching with my heart, and always thinking, if my work will help at least one person, then I did my job right. And so this always was my motto, I would say. And then when I shifted to railways, I perceived trains as patients, depots as hospitals, and maintenance as treatment. And then it also was a balsam for my heart to help trains, because trains were instantly helping people to reach from from point A to point B, and to meet their loved ones, to do the job right, and so on. So it was also a big a big happy thing for me. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I was reflecting on my own pace, and I was thinking, yeah, contribution is a very important point. Close to my values, like you mentioned, Neo, is also very important. And at the same time, it's also the legacy we left behind us, the impact we produce. And I guess, Ashley, taking a look at what you're doing with Women in AI, and Mercedes, taking a look at your impact in the corporate world you are having is also a kind of motivation, a motor that bring us forward and help us to overcome every challenge we find on the way, because these journeys are not a very easy ones as we listen from the experts. I'm just taking a look at the chat, and I think one of the questions, it may fit very good right now because it's about personal stories, and this is also something we want to know. And this is also about defining a moment in your career that helped to shape your own leadership approach. Maybe this kind of momentum, Ella, you mentioned this conference in Austria when you realized this lack of women in research. Maybe we go from that point, we take that impulse and go to Mercedes. And I would like to know from you, if you take a look at your career, you would like to share with us this momentum.
I think your life is a journey. So there is not one momentum, there is thousands of momentums. And I think I'm thankful that I have a lot of momentums and some of the difficult, some of them easiest. But I think I have been working in different companies, in different industries, and any change is a challenge of your own status quo and an opportunity to grow, yeah, and to look to things to accept even more diversity, because you are facing new things that you might not really understand. It's very different what you are used to, and I think every industry change, every company change, every new project in your own company is an opportunity, or was an opportunity to build on myself, to question myself, and to grow. Mm-hmm. Leadership is a journey, is a growth too, like any other one. And has even there is a question about the elder in technology. I don't think it's something negatively, it's something positively, because you are adding knowledge, adding experience. They make you again unique. So I will say we have to embrace any momentum and to have the positivism and the joy to take any challenge as an opportunity and to say, okay, it's a challenge. Let's see how I react, which are my strengths that I can use here, and which is the things, my weaks that I can improve in a better way. So that's I will say this is a journey, and there is a lot of good momentums. It's different, but a big opportunity. So my just to summarize is I don't discourage at any time. Just believe in yourself and take any challenge and any opportunity to open your mind more and more and more through your life. And as Neo says, for me, your values are your compass in life. So follow your values, then you are yourself, and then you will be a good leader because you are authentic, and consequent. That's sorry, there's not one moment, it's 1,000 of them.
But this is a great inspiration as well, maybe to go to Ashley. You had a little bit more time to reflect about, is this one moment you want to share with us that really shaped your leadership style like it is today?
To be honest, I think mine came from a point in my career when I wasn't officially a leader. I was actually leading on a Women in Tech project. This was in recruitment, and we were realizing that out of all of our placements across 3,500 employees, 3,500 recruitment consultants, there was less than 20% women that were being placed into tech roles. And so we started a project, and I led on this project to get more women into the tech roles. And I think that was the turning point in my career. This was over 10 years ago. That's when I became a true advocate for women in tech. a lot of the data that came back was kind of the same as it is now. So not much has changed, you know. It's the same kind of, I have the same skills as my male counterpart, but I'm too scared to put myself forward for a leadership position. I don't think I would get the role because, you know, there's data to show that women will probably not apply for a position where they don't tick all of the boxes, or at least 85% of the boxes, whereas their male counterparts will apply anyway, even if they only tick 50% of the boxes. So just things like that, and women with the same stories. Oh, you know, I had a child and this made it very difficult for me to return to work. Actually, the biggest issue is not actually getting women into the roles, it's keeping them in the roles for long periods of time. They tend to leave halfway through their career because of, you know, starting a family and stuff like that. So I would say that that was the moment that made me realize how important it is that as women we have a voice and we learn to use our voice. And so I always say to the women that I deal with every single day is speak up. You know, it's we, of course, we do need our male counterparts, our leaders, to do more. But you know, we as women need to speak up. We need to do more. We need to push more. We need to put ourselves forward for those promotions, and we need to prove why we're better than our male counterparts for some of these positions. And I think just lose some of the fear around failing, and not being the perfect match. So yeah, I think that for me was the turning point, and it's something that I've been involved with now for over 10 years. But as I said, it's still an issue. It's still the same problems.
So we need to keep on going, and this is what we are doing. So, and not only we, but a lot of us, and this is a very meaningful job we are doing, and we will take a look at that later. And that what can we do to speed the process, to speed change. And Neo, just to close the aha momentums from your part, you mentioned a little bit that you started your company because of a need in your family, so for your child. But let us know what kind of moments really got you to define who you are today as a leader.
I think mine are very personal in that it started from when I was a child. I used to go and visit my grandmother in the rural villages of South Africa, where I'm originally from. And she used to give me a platform where I could bring in toys and items from home, and I will share them with the village children, and I'll organize a mini event at her house, and we'll have a big party, and I'll give them little gifts as an award for what they've been doing. So it started from a young age, and it was encouraged by my grandmother. She used to welcome that behavior, and that molded, I think, my mindset of being a leader. So even when I then moved to the UK and I was looking at what is it that I could do, what impact can I make in this country, that always played in the back of my head, that I need to be more than just being a citizen in this country, but also make an impact. And when my daughter then had an illness, which I then tried to find a solution, that led me then into the leadership part. And through that, I've also come into women in manufacturing, where I realized, from what Ashley said, there's a less women in manufacturing, and most of them, they don't actually stay in manufacturing or get into leadership roles. What more can we do about that? And then I came across technology. Then I was led into technology, and I was like, oh gosh, it's the same problem that we have in manufacturing. So there's ways of contributing, as Ella has said, that how do we then contribute? So I think my leadership is grounded on being a contributor. How can I contribute to the topics that are really concerning and that not everyone can contribute to?
Very important, Adam. Thank you for this personal note you share with us. It's very touchy also to reflect on that. And I think this is something that we'll invite to do for everyone joining us today, because we learn too much if we take the time just to reflect And to think about, we will discover maybe like you, Neo, your grandmother, or maybe someone in your family, because this starts from very early ages. But we forget over the years, because we have so many experiences, when we live so many things, we have so many new ambitions coming up. So just little touch for you after that, and because we are short for the weekend, take a look at have kind of space for you to think about who is really influencing me in a positive way, who is the role model who really encourages you and motivates you to go at your pace. And because we reflect on ourselves as a leader, we have a lot of questions in the chat which are reflecting in the corporates as the environment where we want to grow as a leader, because not every one of us are entrepreneurs like you are, Neo, or even if we are entrepreneurs, we are creating an environment, a corporate environment. And the question is, taking you, Ela, now for the next thoughts about that, being always in your career the last years really working in these corporate environments, which is your experience? How do we get it that the corporates create those spaces where everyone can thrive? What is working in that aspect? What is your experience, and how you will bring in, like, in a recommendation for the leaders working in the corporates to bring into their teams or into their companies as a matter, and less create and more inclusive leadership principles, way of working together?
I would say, again, if it would be only one word, it would be resilience. And that in corporate and at home, I always saw that women truly understand the level of responsibility that they need to accomplish. And as Ashley said, sometimes women don't apply because they think that, okay, this is extreme amount of responsibility and maybe I'm not the best fit for that. But on the other hand, I see every day in my workplace women who so tough, whatever happens in their personal life, they just put smile, go do their best. And it's so inspiring and impressive that I think just the examples of these women, so more role models, and the talking to them, networking, looking at them just in the workplace. That's what's extremely wonderful, and that's, I would say, that what encourages other females from other generations, and what drives also the company. So to see your role model, she, like a Wonder Woman, she just goes further. She brings the top-notch results. She like my boss, so she shapes the strategy. She always aiming for the top standards. And these examples that you just see here and there, that's the, I would say that it also encouraged, of course, by corporate, that so especially so it's okay, in corporate it's a very fair game. So if you bring the top standard result, so the gender, race, religion doesn't matter. So you do your job fabulous, you get the recognition. And every woman I see in our corporate, they bring fabulous results. Always, their team's always the top one at the finish line. And this what I would say shapes their mind, and also supports by corporate. So it's just, yeah. So the results that would, with the resilience of women, yeah.
Thank you, Ella. Ashley, would you like to add new perspective from your experience?
I agree with Ella. That was the word that stood out to me, was resilience. I think that's one constant. No matter what culture or context, I think women leading in innovation globally share that in common. And they seem to have a huge determination to overcome any of the obstacles and push boundaries. And I think that's just, we are on the right path, and we do need more. We need more women in leadership. IBM came out with a tool. They created a tool that allowed people to apply. So say, for example, on my last point, I was saying that maybe women won't apply for the same role that their male counterparts would apply for because they don't tick all of the boxes. So IBM came up with a solution that allowed you to apply to see if you were eligible to apply. So you would submit your application, your CV, and then it would show you all of the roles that you're eligible to apply for, which then encouraged women to apply for roles that they would not have applied for before. So it could be something just as simple as that, as just saying, for me in my career, I've put women forward for positions that they didn't apply for because I know that they're good enough. So it could be something as simple as just from leadership, go for it. You should go for it. And it's nothing huge. I think I've answered your question. I'm not sure. Not sure.
It's not an easy question, right? Because we are all working in different corporates and environments. Mia, you wanted to complement that, and maybe we go from another perspective, which is let's say, let's go forward, because this is a complex question. We are now bringing the perspective not from ourselves but from the corporate, and we are leaders also impacting in corporates, leading teams and having a kind of role model as well for other leaders to follow the same pace on how to lead in an inclusive way. And not only encouraging women in tech to pursue their career, because we have a very great data here in the chat. Thank you for that, we have actually 26% of women leading in the technical environment. And I will also like to include this data with another one, which is 56% of women in technology live this area between the 10 first years of their career. So we don't have a lot in leadership, and we have a lot of those 26% of women in technology and leading positions that they left the companies, they left the areas of technology. And this is the other perspective I would like to take a look at, and is how do we deal with this challenge? Because if we take a look at the reason why the women are leading the technology world, it's not because of a lack of balance between children and career, or between flexible time workings, or it's even beyond the structural and systemic issues in companies. It's more about management, so direct management, and it's about leadership culture in companies. So I don't know if you have some of those experiences, and how do you see that point from your own leadership perspective and from your experience as woman in technology? And Mercedes, I would like to start with you, and then we go also with Neo for that question.
Yeah. It's a tough question, no? Because I am not in every of us is different, and I am not in the skin of any one of the people who live these roles, in which might be the reason, maybe frustration. I can imagine this is one of them. Maybe because in that case, maybe there's a cultural background too. Yeah, maybe for the women at the end is when they balance private life, and professional life. There is things which are more important than fighting in an environment where they see for themselves it doesn't worth it so much. But it depends anyone. I can't speak about me. For me, a reference, a motivation was in technology, going to meetings and not seeing more women. So feeling alone there, yeah, and saying, "Oh, it's not possible. No, we need to change that. Now you need to try to become not a role model, because I not anyone to be a role model, but an example. So that other people see there is one, and it can be two and three and four in the same room. Yeah. So it's a bit to give visibility for us. That was my reference, more than having a reference from outside, is to say, oh, it's a bit upset. I am the only one. I would like to have two or three more in the room. So let's give visibility on that, and that people get used to see someone which is a female and not just like always a male. Wearing other clothes, yeah, speaking in a different way, yeah, and that's to get used to take it as a more and more as the normal, yeah, way, not an exception. Yeah, that was my motivation. But I would like to make, if you allow me, bring a thought. For me, leaders are anyone. Yeah, so we or me, I am in a management position. I try to lead by example, following my values. But this is not the only role where we can make a huge influence in our companies, in our corporate. Yeah, any one of us can make a big influence, being a leader, exposing, speaking up, giving their opinion, having knowledge and experience. And you might be in a technical expert role, yeah, and not in a management role, and you're influencing your company. Because in my case, for example, I have experts who are influencing me, who are consulting me in a lot of topics because they are experts. So any of us have the chance to give an influence in their environment. How do you say, contributing now in our environment, being a leader, even not being a manager. Yeah, and of course, if you're a manager, you should be trying to guide people more so that they have room, space to be themselves too, and to bring ideas. So those are the thoughts I wanted to bring. On one side, any one of us is leader. We are unique, and all things we can talk about is unique in expertise, in mindset, in ideas. On the other one, yes, we need to help to make women more visible, to avoid frustration, to live their career in between. And for that, we need to influence corporations through HR, through a lot of conversation, creating modular and flexible working space, which makes possible to adapt to your private life too, so that you don't need to say, okay, I choose this better than the other one because the other one is less valuable for me, for my values. So room up space where anyone has a space and a motivation to bring their own leadership and their influence in the corporate.
Thank you, Mercedes. I think this great contribution could be as well the answer for some of the questions here in the chat, like what's the one piece of advice you would like to give to women aspiring to break into leadership roles in tech? And I think this call to action to see everyone as a leader independently of the stage in your career is a great call to action for everyone for being here to lead as a woman in tech. And
I think if we
Neo,
spread this mindset, I think if we spread this mindset, anyway have the room for their own voice. Yeah.
And this is also answering another one, like how do we get it more inclusive environments in companies to make every voice heard? And Neo, just from your own perspective as well on answering these kind of two perspectives, because the one is we as women, we want to lead, we want to grow as a women in technology, and we need this environment that inspires us and that enables us and allow us to grow. So which will be your piece of advice from your point of view of building a corporate? So you are building a company, you are defining the leadership principles and how this environment can work in an inclusive way. And you see as well your team raising, not only you are raising, but also your company, your people. Which will be your learning on that journey? Do you would like to share with us?
Okay. What I'd say is that as women, I mean, everywhere, despite of our cultural differences, we want to solve real problems and create lasting change, not for just ourselves but our communities. And what I find the problem is that sometimes we feel unsupported and mentored, and we need people to kind of hold our hand and say, you know, you can do this, come on, you're doing the right thing, this is what you can do. And I think as an entrepreneur, most of the time, obviously, I'm working on my own and with my team. I don't have someone there, like if you're working in a company where you've got your managers and your senior support system there to help you. So I rely on industry experts within my industry to support me, to give me guidance when I'm stuck, you know. So it's building those relationships. So networking is so important. When you build those network or relationships with the people in your industry, it then, if anytime you're stuck on something, they're there for you to ask for help. So don't just stay where you are. Go out there, reach out, ask, and that way it will help you to move the needle forward to the next step and next step until you get where you want to be. So I think reaching out and being able to get support when you need it, I think is important. And also getting people as senior people, leaders in the company, in companies, we need to also be supporting people below us so that they can also get to be where they need to be, you know, seeing their potential and supporting them in that process.
Amazing. I love that. This is really rising by lifting each other mentality, which is so important. And at the same time, also be aware of your own ambition and raise your voice. And I will say that that moment is like raise your voice, and everyone being here, please connect with every single expert today here, speaking together and sharing their experience. Connect with us and raise your voice. I don't know how we can help you, support you, or to amplify your voices, because we are together on the same mission, and also working with the purpose to make this world more brilliant and successful for everyone. So this is a very, very nice call to action, Neo. Thank you so much for that. We are now going into the end, and we have so many questions. I don't know, Agrima, do you see something in the chat that you would like to showcase now as a complete different perspective we could tackle in the last minute?
Yes, yes, amazing conversation, and the chat was just buzzing with so many questions. And there's one question I think we should take over. Despite growing awareness and advocacy efforts, why does harassment remain a concern in the tech industry? And how we can foster environments where women feel safe, respected, and supported? So, anyone who will be like, taking this question up?
Uh,
Uh,
I can take this question maybe because it's really something that you need to live. It doesn't happen by chance. No? So it's a leadership choice, no?
hmm.
Or management choice to company choice. So you need to really will with intention. You need to look when hiring people, when trying to put things together. You need really to bring different perspectives, cultures, and way of thinking of the team. You need to see which are really potential talents who can grow vertically or horizontally, no? Because you grow to horizontally, it means learning more and more things, more technologies, more industries, more businesses, or just growing up in your leadership level or management level. I think you need to design for collaboration, helping people to network, to get the support, and mentoring, coaching is very, very important, I think. And 360 degrees feedback is very, very important to make you learn, to see how you are proceeding in your roles, in your aspirations. And of course, trying to say what do you want to do, which are your aspirations, so that you get supported to be more heard, to be to conferences or to work in different projects what you think can make you grow. So at the end, inclusion and support is a daily leadership habit. It's not an initiative that you are doing once a year. This is on the daily basis, and need to suit what your nature and your values to know and the way you are, so that you stay authentic and confident in your growth.
Totally, Mercedes. We, like you said, it's not just a one-time thing. It's ongoing process, and mentoring and standing up for yourself to stay, helps in this. There's one more question specifically for Ella. Ella, what motivated you to shift from cancer patients to train? Don't you think that is two very different perspective? What was the change in your role?
Thank you for the question. At first, I actually combined for several years both careers, academical and industrial, until it was possible. My biggest motivation was I started in parallel the breast cancer and railways, and in breast cancer, it was years of research, years of approbation, years of integration, and then in 10 years, you can have your feedback. So you can say, okay, this is working, this is helping, or I need to change something, I need to move to another group, and so on. And in railways, it was like a devil, because you were implementing your IT tools and the impact was right away. So you stay right now with engineer, you go to the depot, you sit together, and then you create the tool, and then it instantly helping saving time for engineers, or it finding faster the resources. And then it's like an addiction, because you do the technology, and then it right away the impact, and then it helps, and the people are happy about that. So that was for me the motivation to change. Yeah. So.
That's great. That's great. And there's one more question for Neo. What leadership qualities do you believe are the most effective at advancing both technological innovation and gender representation in manufacturing?
Wow, that's a big question. I would say number one, being curious. You got to be curious about, what goes into manufacturing, about what goes into technology, and how can you put those together to make them work to serve your community that you're serving. So I think that's been the most important thing for me from when I started to where I am now. Someone once written an article about me which says accidental manufacturer, and I am an accidental manufacturer and a tech founder as well. It was never in my plans that I'll be here, but because of how curious I am and wanting to solve real problems, I got myself to where I am. So I think, find what the problem is and work towards solving that problem, and never give up no matter what you come across, because you will face a lot of barriers, especially as a woman. There's so many barriers, and as an underrepresented represented woman, even more the barriers that I face. But with loads of learning, I do training gets coaching and training, attend networking events, speak, come to events like this where you are also learning, and also get opportunities to speak as well. And yeah, so just be curious, keep learning, I would say.
That's great. That's great. I think there's one more question. Begonia, would you like to take it?
Yes, because and I love that. Be curious and keep on going and upskilling yourself. And I took I would like to take one of the first questions for Ashley. And this is the question about with AI and data evolving so quickly. How do you stay updated and continue to lead effectively? And this is, I think it was one of the very first questions, and I think this is very important for every one of us, right?
I honestly have to just echo what Neo said. I think it's all just about staying curious, continuously looking at what the problems are and how we can solve them. That's it. That's it. That's as simply as I can put it. I don't want to overtalk it. It really just is that. And because it is evolving so quickly every single day, we really have no choice but to continue to learn. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. I hope you're satisfied with the answer.
Yeah, I know myself as well. I think we are all on the same boat with the AI development, and how do we do that is not only curiosity, it's also keeping focus, because we cannot get everything what's popping up every day, because it's like every day is something new, right?
Yeah.
So in my experience, it's good to keep focused, to be part of a community working on that, so that you can really empower each other, and at the same time keep your focus on. I think we have discussed a lot about this topic of you are not alone, and do not try to solve everything by yourself, which is also one of mine, the major learnings I have been an Spaniard, considering myself as a cosmopolitan woman, because I've been traveling and working and living in different countries and continents since '92, which is a lot of time. And this is also one of the learning I would like to give everyone back to think about, and to get together, to empower each other, to live and make this sisterhood principle something that is tangible, not only like a hashtag we want to bring ahead, but really really live and be your role model, even if you are not in a leadership position. I love that topic, Mercedes, because sometimes we think, oh, I'm not in a leading position, or oh, I'm not a role model. And I'm always saying, think about it. It doesn't matter who you are. There are always people looking at you, and you may not know that, but you are always a role model, right? And I get some kind of, this kind of feeling everywhere when I'm speaking about that, because this is everything about. You always have an impact. From the moment you stand up and you go outside and you do your job, you are creating an impact. And we encourage in the Net4Tech community, and just to make a long story very short, but we encourage women to go into the technology area. We encourage not tech women to take a leadership role in technology, because technology is shaping the future, and we definitely need to be part of this future, not as a consumer, but as a creator. And I always said, with every single prompt, you are creating a new reality. And think about that as well, being a user of all these AI platforms and tools we have today. The more we work with them, the more we learn and teach the system to go in the direction we want them to go. Because we know so much, and I think everyone has a lot of experiences on AI bias. And with Net4Tech, we want to close the gender gap in technology, and we want to close the gender AI gap, which is another new one coming up, encouraging a lot of women to go into that area. So we have a very nice value proposition, and we launch as well a Sama Academy with a very comprehensive AI topics and workshops and streams and community of practice. And I think, Ashley, in Women in AI, you also have a lot of great offers to bring alive and to offer to all the audience, because we want to offer you options, because options make careers. And here you have excellent people. And if you allow me, agreement, my closing words is, please connect with us. Please get in touch with us. Be visible. Get also visible with others in your environment. Be a role model. Be a sponsor for women in technology. And get together and engage and invest in your career, because it takes time. It takes some money as well. And it takes ambition to go through. And if you do that together, it's really fun and is also impact. And I love that. I love to see more women in technology. So those are my remarks for the end. And I'm so glad to be here. And I'm so thankful for Ella, Neo, Ashley, Mercedes for your great contribution and agreement. Thank you so much for inviting me to moderate this session. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Begonia. Thank you, Ella. Thank you, everyone. Neo, Ashley, Mercedes. You all brought such a great perspective. It was so amazing to hear your insights, personal stories, and every day, like everything we discussed today was nothing short of powerful. All the people who joined the session, they had so many questions popping up. They were discussing. They also dropped their interest to learn more about innovation, and like we would love to, host these sessions quite often. A huge thank you to all our panelists to show what real leadership, resilience, and innovation look like. And our incredible moderator, Begonia, thank you for steering this conversation with purpose and depth. And I would like to thank each and everyone in the audience for their time, energy, and the questions, especially the questions and the energy they brought. They stayed with us till the end. I would request everyone, let's carry this, energy, this inclusion topic, everything forward. Let's keep questioning and keep building. And most importantly, let's keep showing up for each other, because future of technology is not just becoming smart, it's becoming inclusive, it's becoming human like, and it is shaped by voices like we heard today. Also, I request everyone, please stay tuned with us. Keep up with us over our pages, over LinkedIn. We explore these conversations. We, share these insights and stories. Until then, I will request everyone, keep questioning, keep creating something meaningful, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. See you next time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. It was great
Thank you
having
so
you.
much.